Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your January soul session. Okay, we're going to be looking at the energies for you guys for the 1st through the 15th of January. And the first card that we have out is you guys' overall theme for the first 15 days. If you can see it and my camera works with me, probably not. We have the 5 of Pentacles. So it's more or less, Taurus, coming into January and oh goodness, in 2024. From 2023 as well as the latter part of December, it's feeling well, I'm gonna say it this way, it's a little bit of a lot of self-imposed distress. The particular situation that you guys are in, there is a way out of it, but I feel there's a limited perspective or perception on said situation. And there's a little bit of a desire in some sense or another, and this may be hard to hear, I am a Taurus, I understand, of there's some that may want to be rescued from a particular situation. There's others who literally just feel like there's no way out of a situation. But the lesson in all of this is that there is a way out, but it's going to require you to look at your particular situation from another perspective. And this I can understand because with the signs that I've done so far prior to you guys, which are your Venetian brother and sister in Libra, as well as your fellow earth sign, Capricorn. And Capricorn is extremely important in the sense that the influence, if you will, from us being in Capricorn season in the first part of January, as well as just coming out of Mercury retrograde, which was retrograde in Capricorn up until the 1st of January. I feel that there's some influences here in reference to that, because what I have seen with those 2 signs that I did prior to you guys, it was speaking a great deal about self-sabotage and self-limiting beliefs and perspective. And collectively, what I've been seeing in the weekly readings on She Do Society, as well as on Patreon, I've been seeing that theme of how coming into the latter part of 2023, it's a great deal of kind of like facing yourself. And I'm seeing that a lot here. So this is really like a matter of perspective and not really so much circumstance. Like, granted, circumstances may be challenging. You guys may have issues with finances. You may have overspent, you know, in December for Christmas, things of the sort, or, you know, did it big for New Year's Eve. But even keeping those things in mind, it's a need to be aware that it's decisions that one made that got oneself in this situation. And there's a need to be conscious and aware of that. Oh my gosh, like everyone is getting the same cards and I'm shuffling the crap out of this deck, dude. We have Judgment in the reverse as you guys challenge for the first 15 days. So legit, Taurus, you are in good company with the 2 signs prior to you. With the Judgment in the reverse, your challenge is really to like elevate past your current circumstance, if I could say it that way. So much like I said for Libra as well as for Capricorn, there's this feeling of kind of like being trapped or stuck in a situation, being confused, not really knowing how one should move forward. But this is more or less a message for, like, the issue is not that life is conspiring against you, if you will. It's more or less a state of not being in alignment. And I feel like a very tangible, tactile way that I could say this to Taurians is more or less like you're not living up to your fullest potential, in a sense. It's not a conspiracy. It's not like a divine punishment or anything like that. It's more or less a desire to elevate past your current circumstances, but needing to realize that you are the person who possesses the power and the ability to unlock yourself from whatever stagnation you've been in up to this point. You know, so it's a call for you to rise above how it is that you've been living, how it is that you've been perceiving life. And even in a more metaphysical sense, if we could say it that way, It's like you existing in 3D sensory consciousness, and this more or less being a rise to like higher consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Or God consciousness, if you will. So in the bigger scheme of things, like God, there's no need for God to judge us because we're already judging ourselves. You know what I'm saying? How it is that we choose to live our lives every day when we wake up. Like every decision that you make is a judgment of what it is that you feel that you deserve. And the challenge is to recognize that. It's to see that the people you're hanging out with, you know, what you're choosing to do every day, whether that's choosing to eat healthy or not healthy, choosing to work out or not work out, choosing to self-loathe or not, choosing to mismanage your finances or not. All of these things are you making a judgment of yourself every day. And if you were to sit back and look at the decisions that you've made in the last 24 hours, if you were to look back at the decisions that you made in the last week, in the last month, or in the last year, literally looking back at 2023, not looking at what happened to you or what you experienced or what other people have done, but looking at every single decision that you made in response to what it is that transpired. And that is your judgment, not from anyone else, but from yourself. Like the choices you're making is you saying to the universe, this is what I feel I deserve. You know what I'm saying? So there's a need to be aware of that coming into the first 15 days of January. Now, looking at your centralized energy, the energy that you're in the month of January, well, this is a good thing. We have the 7 of Swords in the reverse. You guys know I always say when the 7 of Swords comes out, what do I say? What you skip will trip you up later. But with this being in the reverse, it's saying that you're no longer in denial. You're not in self-denial. It's like Taurus is like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. You feel what I'm saying? Now, coming from the latter part of December and 2023 into January, we have the 6 of Pentacles. I'm always happy to see this for Taurus. So it's more or less getting an aha moment, Taurus, at the latter part of December. This also could be speaking to you guys giving to others. And I don't know, I'm picking up on something intuitively. This is fascinating. This is interesting. Okay, so what I'm picking up on intuitively, I don't know where this is relevant, but it feels to me, I'm picking up on the energy of a Taurus person where, say you're not traditionally like a gift giver, or you don't normally do stuff for other people or volunteer and stuff like that. But in the latter part of December, and I mean, so this could be Christmas gifts maybe, or like I said, volunteering. Your first step to try to make a shift or a change in your experience was by giving. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like in December, and I really want to say the latter part of December, it's almost like Taurians having some sort of aha. And this aha that you have would remind me a great deal of what I said in Capricorn's reading. So just like I told Libra, because we're in Capricorn season, you can look at Capricorn's reading like a collective, you know, the way that we've always done things here at Tarot Therapy. But you can go and watch that and garner some insight from that, because I spoke to them almost about like a realization, like them needing to have a realization. But I'm feeling for Taurians, you guys had this already and maybe didn't even know how to make sense out of it. It's almost like in the latter part of December, you felt this inclination to, or were inspired to like give in some way, whether that's volunteering or like giving things to people. But the subconscious thing I'm feeling underneath that, or like the spiritual influence, is it's almost trying to balance the scales, if I could say it that way. So it's like coming to this realization. I said the same thing for Libra too, when I talked about them going to the other side of the Likert scale, where you recognized an imbalance that was occurring in your life, whether you were clear on it or not, and you feeling this unction to give something or to do something or to show up for someone else. And this is like a testament for how that's kind of balancing the scales. So whatever it is that you guys did that was like nice in the latter part of 2023, it almost acted as an igniting factor that got you guys into the Seven of Swords in the reverse, which is gaining a sense of clarity on how it is that you've been showing up. So what I was saying in the overall energy as well as in the challenge, this is something you guys are aware of, even if you don't have the verbiage for it, if that's making sense. Now, in your conscious energy, oh, look at that. We have the 10 of Cuppies. So this is what my Taurians are aspiring to in the first part of January. It's like you guys are desiring contentment. Some of you guys may have been single for a long time and you're desiring to have a romantic partnership, right? And you're probably like stunned and shocked, like, why am I feeling like I want to be in love, right? There's others of you who may want to start a family, and these may be things that you've never really thought about, because what I'm kind of seeing with this Taurus and going with the theme that I'm seeing for the signs so far, and especially with you guys having this judgment in the reverse, I really feel, and even taking into account what I've been saying in the weeklies, I really feel that as a collective, how all of us have been showing up in the world up to this point, we haven't been showing up as our authentic selves. I feel like we've been showing up as this person, this pseudo human that we have created in contrast to what it is that we've been through. You feel what I'm saying? So any type of pain, hurt, heartbreak that you've endured in your past, you've created this alter ego that is the antithesis of what it is that you've been through. So, you know, if you got screwed over and betrayed, you created this person who is not screwed over and betrayed. But it's like that person is like maladaptive now because it served its purpose to get you this far. And it's kind of like it's time to switch out the model. And I feel the model that we need to switch out to is the authentic self. So it's like if we were to, you know, title it, it's like the alter ego is like your highest version ego self, right? But that isn't the highest version of yourself, because the highest version of yourself is your higher self. So why I feel like this judgment card, why it's stalking everyone so far, is because it's saying like you have built yourself up to everything that you can be as like a human in your sensory consciousness. Like, congratulations. But now it's time to break through that and to be the grandest version of yourself. So I say that to say that that's why I feel this aspiration of this contentment. It's like being the pseudo version of yourself, right? The highest version ego self that has giving you fulfillment and contentment. It hasn't made your heart smile. That made you completely fulfilled. And I think once upon a time you thought it would, but it's pretty clear now that it hasn't. And I feel this stagnation with this Five of Pentacles, that's coming from the fact that the expiration date has neared on this pseudo self. And now it's saying, okay, now it's time to move forward. Interesting. Now, underneath this and your subconscious influences or hidden influences, right? We have the Three of Cups in the reverse. And this is more or less like a solitary energy. I saw this for Capricorn as well. It's like it's a lack thereof of collaboration. And there's also an element here of avoidance, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So for you guys, that makes a lot of sense. This would speak to me about people connection. So I would say the Taurians who would resonate with this, there's an element of like self-isolation. You know what I'm saying? Holding yourself back from things, maybe even deluding yourself into believing that you don't want these things. You know what I'm saying? Like when we talk about this 10 of Cups, that some of you guys may be flirting with the idea of being in romantic partnerships or flirting with the idea of being parents. This may be things that you guys have never fathomed before, which I feel this would be speaking to the true version of yourself, because maybe prior to everything that you've been through, you were a person who once upon a time wanted to have a family or wanted to be married or, you know, whatever the case. But stuff that you've been through made you say like, nah, that's not where it's at. Like, I'm good with me, you know, by myself, solo dolo type of deal. Or even in the context of like friendships, it's like, I don't want to be friends with people at work. I don't want no friends, you know, girls are catty, you know, whatever the case, you know what I'm saying? Approaching things from that context. And the thing that has prevented you from having this contentment or this happiness, and my guides are saying that you've been supplementing with other things. That's fascinating. Okay, I get that. So if we're looking at this in transit of pseudo self, right? The authentic self, if we say it that way, the authentic self desires connection, friends, family, kids, right? Life experience deterred Taurus away from that. Taurus creates pseudo self in response to that. Desires of pseudo self are the polar opposite of friends, family, connection, romantic partner, right? Because past self, right, wanted those things. So pseudo self can't want those things, because if pseudo self wants past stuff things, then pseudo self will inadvertently become past self again. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like cutting those things out, but those true desires are starting to bleed to the surface. You know what I'm saying? And I feel where you guys are kind of caught in this loop, right, is because it's not allowing yourself to align with that. So you inadvertently stay in this 5 of Pentacles energy. Like you can't go through the door, because going through the door requires you to open up your heart space to this thing that you haven't allowed yourself to have for this extended period of time. However, the beautiful thing about this, like I said, with the 7 of Swords in the reverse, is your awareness of this. And whether you are aware of it or not, whatever it is you fraternized with in the latter part of 2023 with this 6 of Pentacles, so whatever it is that you put out and gave to someone else or put out into the universe, it's almost like your higher self manifesting its dominance, if you will, right? By having you partake in this, not being aware that you partaking in this action is a statement of what your true desire is, being this 10 of Cups. And I'm sure that that's something different for each of you. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, I love this. I'm sure that this is something different for each of you, but what I would say for you guys, and let me know in the comments, because I'm nosy, child. I like to know y'all business bull game. You know what I'm saying? But what is it that you guys did in the latter part of December? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that you did that you don't usually do? And if I were to apply this to myself, I can definitely tell you what it is that I did, because I literally was telling my staff and my friends, I was like, what the heck is happening to me? Something that I started doing just out of the blue, like all of my life, like since I was a child, I've always been like artsy, into creativity kind of person, like painting pictures, making sculptures, like, designing clothes, sewing clothes, decorating and cooking. I absolutely love cooking. I like baking. I don't love it, but I like it, and I like making stuff. Like, I don't just like cook stuff or bake stuff like regular. Like, I'm always real extra with it. Like my Hermes cookies, like I put little eyeballs on them and stuff. It's like all the things, right? So I'm really extra with stuff that I create. And I like making things that are like unique or different, or combining two things that don't go together. You know what I'm saying? And since I got heavily into my career like 10 years ago, my creativity is like limited to my work. So whether when I was working in marketing or, when I became a therapist, it's like I've always limited my creativity just to like work and book writing and stuff like that. So I haven't really been, painting and, creating things as much. But for some reason, in the latter part of December, I found myself like going in Hobby Lobby or going in Michael's and just making things. And then like people will see something I make. It's like, oh, can you make that for me? And I'm like, sure. You know what I'm saying? Like I baked cookies for my whole office. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is stuff I don't do this anymore. But I found like fulfillment in that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love this. And the dope thing about it is the practical side of my brain says like, why would you bake like a shit ton of cookies and, like you're on a diet right now, like you're not going to eat the cookies. But that giving aspect I'm talking about with the 6 of Pentacles is I gave them to my whole office. You know what I'm saying? So I came home, like I baked like a shit ton of cookies, but I came home with like 10 of them. You know what I'm saying? So I got to like binge on like 10 cookies, but it's like, you know, all of these people got, you know, gifts. You know what I'm saying? So it's something where it benefits me, where I get to be creative, but then I also get to give something to someone else. So I would say to you guys to look back at what it is that you were fraternizing with in December, and specifically in the latter part of December, because I feel that is almost like an omen or a metaphor or a sign for what your 10 of cups is, that's reminding you of who it is that you were, and I mean still are, but it's buried, right? But who it is that you were past tense, because this is relinking you with your higher self, like your authentic self. And that's even more solidified with this Magician upright. This card came out for other signs as well, for your energy that's going into the midpoint of the month. But it was reversed for other people, it's upright for you guys. So what this is kind of saying is like stay the course with this, because it's more or less saying that the call on your life right now, Taurus, is you guys stepping into your power. Because like I said, for other signs, I talked about this fragmentation of the self. I feel like you guys, as well as a lot of other signs, have been showing up as a fragmented version of yourself, and you're being given an opportunity to see what it is that you've been doing so that you can reintegrate these versions of yourself and show up as the highest, truest version of yourself, having access to all of your gifts. Because the downside of us fragmenting ourselves is that we're not able to show up as the highest, fullest version. So we're us at like 50% power or 20% power, because, you know, we're not all conjoined and aligned and, you know, showing up balanced, if you will. So overall, what it is that I'm seeing for you guys is, granted, yes, it is coming into this month feeling a little stagnant, you know what I'm saying? Feeling kind of, you know, on the outs. And I don't feel like that's anything new. I feel like that's something that's been kind of hovering. It could be issues with finances, but there's this call within you that's feeling that where it is that you are in life right now, or in your experience, is not really what you want, but you're already taking steps in the direction of what it is that's for you, based on whatever it is that you were fraternizing with in the latter part of December. And that is giving you insight to what the ultimate end goal is for you guys coming into 2024, which is giving yourself permission to align with your true desires. You know, it's like getting reacquainted with what it is that happiness really looks like for you. You know what I'm saying? And getting out of you know, the behaviors and the tendencies of the false self, and pretty much calling yourself out on your own bullshit, you know, pun intended. But anywho, that has been your soul session for the 1st through 15th of January, Taurus. Most certainly let me know what you think in the comments. I love you guys freaking faces, and I will see you sooner than later being in the next soul session. And watch me as I awkwardly turn the camera off.